Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Blood Bowl Dream Team's Imperial Nobility. So we are looking at all the teams available in Blood Bowl, whether it's Rulebook, Teams of Legend PDF, or the expanded NAF teams. And basically what we're doing is we're putting together a roadmap for how your league team can look at certain points of its development. The points we're going to look at today are 1.25, 1.5 and 1.75 million. Now, generally speaking, it's going to take, I don't know, 30 games to get up to that point. So depending on how long your league is, this could basically represent 2 or 3 seasons of your team's development. And obviously redrafting rules are depending on your league as well. Now, this is my optimal build, so there are hundreds of thousands of different ways to build a team. So you give skills to your players as and when you like. But this is really just my view of what players should get what skill at what point. So if you're playing with nobility or against them, this is probably what you can expect. So first up, we've got 1250. So there's a couple of different builds when it comes to nobility. The two main ones are Ogre, 2 Throwers, 2 Blitzers, 2 Bodyguards, 2 Rerolls. The other one is 2 Blitzers, 4 Bodyguards, 2 Throwers, 2 Rerolls. So whichever way you go around it, you're going to have to start with 2 Rerolls. Now by 1250, you will have enough cash to progress one element of your team. Now, when it comes to the rerolls, 2 rerolls is okay for nobility. You don't have sure hands, but you've got so many combat skills that it does counterbalance it. I was really impressed. I've played almost 2 seasons of nobility now, and I've been really impressed with the consistency of the team. You got 4 wrestle dudes, you got 2 block dudes. They are dominant when it comes to ground pounding. Now, picking up the ogre is risky. You get Bonehead, but man, that strength, that ability to just hold the line is superb. So with this roster, we're assuming that whichever build you go with, whether it's the Ogre, you pick up 2 Bodyguards. If it's the 4 Bodyguard build, you pick up the Ogre, because you really want all that strength. Now, you can definitely build a nobility team without an Ogre, but it will be missing something. Ben and I played Bretonnians versus nobility with an Ogre, and that Ogre was just absolutely massive. I just couldn't stop it. So the roster here from 1 million to 1250, you pick up the Ogre, but you can't probably afford that 3rd reroll. It's just a matter of cash, okay? You're going to pay 140 for an Ogre, and then you were going to have to pay at least 45 for an extra lineman. It's just how it goes. Now, where we've got enough linemen here, we've got 3 linemen. So we've got 1 Ogre, 2 Blitzers, 4 Bodyguards. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players with those 3 linemen. Now, having that 12th person on a nobility team is so important. Now, if you've got the Ogre, you are absolutely going to be helped out with the bashing aspect of this, but having enough linemen to put on the line so you can deploy everything else off, having a guy spare so you can go put the boot in, is incredibly important, and it is actually worth picking it up. The difficult thing with nobility is if you go down to 10 players, you have to buy 2 to get any benefit, because of the way the journeyman rules work. Anyway, this roster comes in at 1255. Ogre, 2 Blitzers. Both those Blitzers have gone straight for dodge. It's 6 SPP. Now you've got movement 7 blodging catchers. The Blitzers are brilliant. Run them as tight ends in your offense, okay? The Bodyguards do a lot of the fighting. Those Blitzers strike and score. They are fast. They are much faster than they have any right to be, and it will definitely dupe your opponent because they're going to go, yeah, movement 6 human team. Well, these guys, especially when they are rocking blodge, they become incredibly potent scoring threats. We've got 4 Bodyguards here. Now, Bodyguards are going to progress slower because they're not going to be scoring as many touchdowns as those Blitzers, so you are going to creep them up. Now, first guy gets guard. The second guy gets tackle. Now, this is why. Guard, you might be thinking guard on a wrestle piece is subpar. Now, when I ran my first league, I took half the guys with guard and half the guys with block to see what felt better. Block and wrestle felt redundant. guard and wrestle was fine. Obviously, block and guard is the best way through, but when it got to that skill, I had one dude with guard, block, one dude with guard and tackle. Guard tackle was just so important. Now, this roster has no inbuilt tackle. They never do, right? Looking at you, dwarves. But one of those guys with tackle makes a fantastic safety. Movement 6 and wrestle tackle. That's real wrestling. Okay, that dude is going to be able to bring down anybody with a bit of support. Now, you've got 2 dodge blitzers as well, so you should be able to mobilize somebody to get you some supports. Because of the stand firm game, because of the fend game, you will be able to box your nobility. The nobility team will be able to box your opponent in. So you won't need that much maneuverability. If there is a scoring threat, if they break out, you are going to have unattached players who should be able to reach them with standard movement. So you should be able to get 2-die wrestle block on a ball carrier in the backfield with tackle if you need it. So bodyguard with tackle, really useful. Bodyguard with guard. Now this is where these guys are going. It's in the name, and you may think wrestle, guard, doesn't matter, right? You can use wrestle at your discretion. You cannot use wrestle at your discretion. So if your bodyguard ends up on the ground, it's either going to be your choice and the right thing to do because of wrestle, or you're going to take the both down and their turn's over anyway. So it doesn't matter if your guy's on the ground anymore. You stand them up, guard, triggers. Everybody gets more strength. And you can start building this absolute bash cage. All 4 of those guys are headed to guard. So 2 dodge on the blitzers makes them potent scoring threats. These guys are building up to get guard, but 1 tackle is useful. Doesn't matter what your meta is, someone's going to have a dodgy dodger, and just being able to 2-die wrestle them in the backfield, it's going to stop everything. Thrower picking up leader is so important. So this roster's got 2 throwers. Now you might be thinking, I don't want to throw the ball that much. It's not about that. It's that the throwers are 30k more than the linemen, and it's the best 30k you will ever spend. Better agility, better passing, better armor. They are just straight up better. If they weren't called throwers, they were just called better linemen, you'd max out at 2 every single game. And you should, if you can afford them. So one of these guys takes leader. He's going to be the game manager, all right? We're going to build that guy to be our 3rd blitzer. Now the reason for that is because the throwing game for the ability is just fine, and we're going to develop number 2 player here to be our thrower. So accurate, I know you're thinking, Ben, I don't want to throw the ball too much, and that's fine. If you don't want to go for a throwing game, sub accurate in here for sure hands if you're that kind of player, or on the ball if you want to max it out. Either of those 2 are safer bets. I like going leader with 1 to get us that 3rd reroll. Okay, you take leader on the thrower, you can spend the money on the ogre. I would much rather have 3 rerolls with the leader and the ogre than 3 rerolls, no ogre, and a leader with block. What would you rather have? A thrower with a block or an ogre? Hopefully you're saying ogre here. Anyway, you build this team up, and those guys play different roles. The blitzers become interchangeable. The bodyguards mostly become interchangeable, although you have a little bit of sprinkling of tackle and mighty blow as they develop up. But if you've got 2 throwers, one of them you can afford to develop into a passer or a primary ball carrier, and the second one becomes a leader, block, and is just there to be another great player. Okay, they become like a runner, I suppose, rather than a blitzer. But quite frankly, once they've got block, they are blitzing as well as anybody else. Now we boost the team up to 1500, so this one comes in at 1515. So what we've added is we've picked up that 3rd reroll now, we've had the spare cash, and we've picked up that Apothecary along the journey. Now, the earlier you can buy the Apothecary, the better. However, because you've got so many players and you're still filling out the ranks, your players aren't that expensive to replace that you should worry about the Apothecary, and none of them are going to race off to level 3, 4 so quickly that it doesn't... if you lose a bodyguard with guard, it's painful, but it's fine. I would rather have 4 bodyguards than 3 bodyguards and an Apothecary. It's just kind of better for your team development that way. So max out your positionals, then take the Apothecary. Now, I just... unless somebody has a monster game and they end up at level 3 really quickly, then maybe I'd be tempted to take the Apothecary. Anyway, the Apothecary is the first thing you buy after the Ogre as soon as you can afford it. Then you take that 3rd reroll. By now, you've got Leader to be your 3rd reroll. So what this does is it just gives you straight up 4 rerolls across the game. That's all you're going to need with this team. That allows you to pull off some shenanigans. It means you can take some greed blocks and things like that. And those things are going to pay off every now and again and give you the edge. If you've got rerolls to play them safely, it's going to be incredibly beneficial. So by now, your Ogre will have massed up at least 3 casualties and can take a skill. Again, this one is going to be down to you. You can obviously save up for block. Now, we've got this as a view of tabletop. tabletop where you're playing 1 to 2 games a week at most, and that's a really good week for Blood Bowl. Realistically, it's going to be 2 to 3 games a month. Getting that Ogre to 12 SPP, probably doing a casualty every other game in that regard, that's going to take you 6 months. Okay, on the tabletop, you want to hurry those skills through. On BB3 when they land, farm that SPP for that Ogre. We're going to see block, dodge Ogres for the rest of time, and that's absolutely fine. That's online where you can just spam 6 games of an evening. You can't do that unless you're playing Speed Bowl. Hello, Isle of Wight crew. So, Ogre, Brawler, if he's in the mix. If you've got a good guard bank. If not, take guard and he just becomes this bulwark in the middle of your line that's just boosting everybody else. There is no bad choice there. I am happy with both. It depends on the rest of the league. The rest of the league's leaning more towards guard. I'll take guard. It just creates that counterplay. The rest of the league is a bit softer. So you've got Slan, Lizards, not Lizards, Skaven and things like that. Your Ogre's going to want to get those pals because it's going to want to bring that Mighty Blow into play. So actually taking Brawler makes not most, but what, a third of your 2-die blocks into a third of your 2-die blocks into a 3-die block. Okay, and most of your 3-die blocks into 4-die blocks, and that's just dirty. So guard is great. In guard we trust, and Brawler is also pretty decent too. So by now, Blitzer number 1 or number 2 should have developed and gone to stage 3. Tackle on a Blitzer is going to be so incredibly useful. Now, it doesn't matter what meta you're looking at. You don't have a lot of tackle. So once that blodger's got blodge, take tackle as well. That gives you 2 safeties. 1 wrestle tackle, 1 block tackle. Okay, that's going to allow you to farm out 3 blocks one side of the pitch or other. You can use 1 as your safety and use the other one to just take opportunity blocks against goblins, against gutter runners, against elves, the opportunities that present themselves. Now this guy, why is he not leveled up? He is banking his SPP, and we'll come to that in a minute. Because once you've got 1 dodge tackle, the other Blitcher's fine. Okay, the other Blitcher's fine. You can take a bunch of agility skills that are pretty good. Alright, and you know what? Fend is really frustrating. Sidestep's really useful. But it's not enough. We've got 2 Blitzers. We need to turn one of them into something special. Now, by now, the Bodyguards, we've got 2 here. They've got guard. We've got another one who's got guard, and we've got another one who's got tackle. We're building up that stand firm guard net. Okay? Then you can body up a bodyguard with any other player, and that other player becomes strength 4. But the real key here is if you can buddy up 2 stand firm guards together, it's just 2 strength 4 dudes with wrestle at that point, and it is absolutely delicious. So 2 throwers, this guy's gone leader, and then we've given him block as well. He will be your backup blitzer. By this point, you've got 2 blodge blitzers. You've got a great series of bodyguards, and then that thrower taking block gives you 1, a safe ball carrier. Okay, that's always useful. He's got leader, which that block is going to keep him alive for longer as well. But also you get a very useful striking threat as well. And then you've got that thrower with Edge 3+ who can body up with one of your guard bodyguards, and he can start punching as well. Now, every incidental block you get with nobility is really useful. This team will be able to box in your opponent and block them to death. You can definitely do it. So that thrower there, that support thrower, getting block is going to be really useful. Now the other guy you can have some fun with. So accurate, then OTB. On the ball, accurate. This guy is just running around the backfield, grabbing that ball and making your offense half a turn faster. By now, with accurate and OTB, it's making your offense a turn faster because he is now movement 9 and passing 2+ on your receive. Okay, you've just made him into a boosted Skaven thrower at that point, and I know that you're thinking, Ben, stop playing every team like Skaven, but no, I will not. So accurate, OTB, really useful. If you're not much of a thrower, if you want to play the safe game, then it is going to be sure hands, but I do still recommend OTB because it's going to speed you up in the backfield. But sure hands block is a very safe alternative that's going to keep your TV about the same point. Now hopefully by now you've swung a lineman who's got a couple of casualties and he's randomly rolled the MVP or something, and you've given him kick. This team is faster than it seems, but it is not elves, okay? That kick is not an onside kick situation. That is a pin them deep, I will mass my numbers, and I will guard them around in a circle until they die, while their team is split in half. Kicking deep is going to allow your team to play numbers on less numbers, and that's just going to play into the Ogre's wheelhouse, and the rest of your dudes are just going to be able to pile block into block into block. You're going to take out 3 of their players in the first 3 or 4 turns, and then the game is yours. Then at 1750, it is just filth, okay? By now, the Ogre has got enough to take Brawler and Guard, or just straight up block, whichever way you went to do it. Brawler and Guard gives you everything you're going to need. This guy's going to be able to buddy up with a couple of linemen. Those linemen are going to be able to take 2-die block, 2-die block, give 2 assists for a 3-die Brawler block, which often becomes 4 dice. Mighty Blow down. You've just deleted 3 players. Congratulations, you've got another win. 2 blitzers here. Now one's got dodge tackle, the other one we saved up, and this is where you can do something special. Alright, you can save up and you can take a double on it. Okay, you can save up 14 SPP and take Mighty Blow and make him an attempt to build a removal piece. You can do that. The other thing you can do is save up all the way to 20, keep your TV low, trust in the fact that actually as a blodge blitzer is going to do well, and then get that stat in early. Strength is pretty cool. Edge is pretty cool. You give him Edge, you've got a Dark Elf blitzer on your team. You give him movement, you've got a movement 8 blodger. Now I had this in my first league team for Nobility, and that dude was awesome. Then he went on to get sidestep, and then I had this movement 8 blodge step piece, and it was just wicked. He was an absolute scoring monster, and somehow he survived, although he did get armor busted at one point, but he still managed to survive. I just lived my Skaven dream through this team, which is a weird team to do it with. But at this point, the bodyguards get all bodyguardy. We've got guard and tackle. We've got tackle and guard, and the other 2 get mighty blow. So then you start building this net of safeties and removal. Okay, a couple of mighty blow guard, stand firm, wrestle pieces are going to give you all of the options. You are going to get all of those choices. Do I want my guy there? Do I want him to move away? Do I want us both on the ground? Do I want us to go down? Oh, it's my turn. I'll take both down. Do I take wrestle? Do I just go legit both down and use mighty blow? You get to choose, and the power of choice is not just useful whether you're leaving the matrix or not, but it's also useful to determine whether your opponent is leaving the pitch or not. 2 tackle, wrestle, guard pieces are going to be able to do everything you need them to do. They are middlemen. They will support and they will destroy. The thrower, leader block is great. Accurate OTB, sure hands makes for a really effective ball carrier and quick passer. You've got 2 blodge blitzers with catch. They are just ultimate scoring threats. It's really underrated, but not only that, but if one of your bodyguards gets free, that's 8 squares of movement with a cheeky couple of dodgy rushes and a 3+ catch. So you're in a really good spot. That accurate OTB thrower is going to be able to deliver the ball wherever there is vulnerability. And on defense, if your opponent does take a pass, you can just straight up move that dude for 3 squares. Okay, that's going to allow you to plug a gap. That's going to allow you to move in and get an additional support to make their turn difficult. You may even be able to get a play on the ball. Not going to happen, but worth a shot. And the last thing to kind of round out here is you've got your kick lineman. He hasn't died. Congratulations. But any other lineman, you might as well, when they get a touchdown, when they get 2 casualties, just take random generals. There are a bunch of great skills for these linemen. Block. Wrestle. You know, there's a ton of things that can go well for you. Tackle is going to be useful as well. And for what, 10 TV? It's an absolute bargain. So that's everything I've got for Nobility. This is where I see the team going. There are definitely alternatives. There are different skills that you want to take based on your meta. If you're playing in a stunty and elf-heavy environment, you want to go tackle before you want to go guard, absolutely. If there's not a lot of dodge, you want to go guard before you go tackle. You know, those are really kind of straightforward things and great choices for you to make. Your tastes will vary when it comes to this team. You may not even run the ogre. You may run both the throwers as shorthand block. And that's fine, it's your team. But for me, this build here gives you the most tools to deal with the most villains. Your Brawler Guard Ogre is going to be great in concert with the Mighty Blow Bodyguards. You've got 3 Mighty Blow pieces. Those 2 Blitzers, one of them who is probably movement 8 by now. Very powerful scoring threats. You've got bench because we've added an extra lineman here, so you're up to 13 players. It is a great team, and you can play it different ways. I have yet to see the optimal way for Nobility. I ran without Ogre and I ran with Ogre. With Ogre is a lot more fun, but without, it feels really controlly. And it's just a solid team. You will get out of the Nobility team what you put in. And the way you design it will be a reflection of you. But I've tried to be disciplined. I've tried to take the best things. But when it comes to the thrower, you just, come on. You just got to go for it every now and again. Anyway, guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.